Today I'm finally reviewing a book that I've been talking about for ages. Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. So today's video is a review, but it's also not a review because once I'd finished this book I realised that I couldn't really sum it up in one review. And I am talking about S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. Now this is a book I have been mentioning for about the last month or so, and I have been saying I would do a review of it. And this kind of is going to be a review, but you'll understand once I start talking about it why it's kind of also not. So about a year ago a video appeared here on YouTube on the Bad Robot production channel. Now this video was completely bizarre and random and no one had a clue what it was about, but everyone thought, it's Bad Robot, it's J.J. Abrams, it's going to be a TV show or a movie. A few days later a second video turned up on the channel and this explained that it wasn't a TV show, it wasn't a film, it was in fact a book. This book was written by Doug Dorst, a novelist who had previously written Alive in Necropolis, and conceived by J.J. Abrams of Lost, Alias, Star Trek and now Star Wars fame. When this book was released last year no one really had a clue what to expect, and really no one could have expected this. So what makes this book so weird? Okay, so essentially this book is about a guy who has amnesia, he doesn't remember anything, and he has to find his way in the world. That is pretty much what the book is about. But that is just one part of this book. In fact, there are really three different narratives because essentially this is a book within a book. Now when I say that I am referring to the fact that S is essentially the overall name for those three different narratives, and the book itself is called The Ship of Theseus by V.M. Straka. Now the Ship of Theseus is the story about this guy who has amnesia and has to find out about who he is and discover what to do with his life. But the two other narratives revolve around the world outside of the Ship of Theseus. So the second narrative basically revolves around V.M. Straka, the writer of this book. Now he is a guy who no one knows who he is. There's a list of about 7 or 8 different people who he could be, but no one really knows who he is, and that is basically what the second narrative revolves around, working out who he is, what he was involved in, what he did in his life, and the people that he knew. And this is what the third narrative is based around. So within the book, there is in fact margin notes from 2 characters. One, Jen, works in a library and she is an undergrad and she finds this book one day and starts reading it. But this book originally belongs to this other guy who she starts conversing with through the margin and through these notes. So the entire book is littered with these margin notes, and while you're reading the actual story of the Ship of Theseus, you're also reading the story of these 2 characters as they try to work out who V.M. Straka is. I hope you understood all that. I know it sounds really confusing, but it makes for an incredible read. In fact, it makes for an incredible reading experience, and I say that because there's more to this book than just reading it. And I know that sounds really surreal and bizarre, but just stick with me for a moment. Now as I said, this book was written by Doug Dorst and conceived by J.J. Abrams. Now not a lot of books have a writer and a conceiver, a conceptual artist. Anyway, the reason this book does though is because it is a work of art in itself. I'm going to show you a little bit of that now, but just to let you know, I'm going to be releasing a video tomorrow on my channel which will be looking at the art of this book and how beautifully created this book is, so check that out. So this book basically becomes a scrapbook between these 2 characters who are reading the book together and writing in the margins, and as a result there are actually a lot of inserts in this book. These inserts include things like photographs and postcards and maps and letters and all sorts of things, but they all really add to the experience of reading this and just make it a really fun, enjoyable book to read. Now I said at the beginning this wasn't really going to be a review, and the reason for that is that I can't really talk about the plot very much because it's one of those plots that has a lot of twists and turns, but also because I can't sum this up in one video, so I'm going to be making a few videos on this over the next few weeks. I really want to learn more about this book. There is so much more to this book than just the book, It is created by J.J. Abrams, and he is one of those people who, whenever he makes films, and when he did Lost they did this a lot, but they release they have like websites and clues dotted around the internet that they post every now and again that is meant to kind of further your interest in it. So it's one of those books that when you get to the end, that's not the end, and I love that, because there is nothing worse than reading a fantastic book and then thinking that's it, it's over. With this book, it's really not, it's just the beginning. So I hope I've at least piqued your interest in this book. Honestly, it is one of the best books I've ever read, and that's not an exaggeration, it is incredible. I am going to be making a few more videos, as I say, including one tomorrow, which is going to look at the general concept of the book and just having a closer look at the details of it, because that really is half of what makes this book amazing, the way it's produced. And honestly, I wish there were more books like this, but I have yet to find a single one, which is really sad. So hopefully this will start a new trend, and I would really encourage you to go buy it. But that's it for me today. If you're watching this from the future, there will now be a link to my concept video here below, and I will also put a link in the doobly-doo below to the original book trailer for S, which was released last year by Bad Robot. Go check that out, it's fascinating and bizarre, and it will make you want to read this book even more. That's it for now though, I will see you soon. Bye!